The secondary goal for the project was to use the lemur to develop controls that would allow the user to move between distinct songs during a live performance without a noticeable break in the music. To achieve this, a method of live resampling and crossfading was developed which, with practice, allows the user to sample two synthesizer parts from the currently playing song and to use the sampled parts to replace the synthesizer outputs during the transition between songs. A copy of the signal from the left channel of each of the Prophet stereo outputs is sent to an Octatrack input via the half-normal patch bay, and a spare audio track is assigned to each source for sampling, making it possible to record a mono version of each of the Prophet synthesizer parts during playback. The system uses a combination of parameter-locked scenes on the Octatrack, which are controlled from the crossfader, and a horizontally orientated fader object in Lemur which is MIDI mapped to the fader level of the four Prophet tracks in the mixer. With the crossfader in the leftmost position, the sample tracks are parameter locked to minimum volume and the Prophet's mixer channels are set to their preset maximum. With the crossfader in the rightmost position, sample tracks are locked to maximum volume and the mixer channels are set to 0. This means that with the crossfader leftmost, the sound coming directly from the Prophet is heard and the sample tracks are inaudible, and when the fader is moved across to the right, outputs from the Prophet are removed from the mix and are replaced by the sample tracks. Note that the Lemur script controlling the crossfade is scaled, meaning that its leftmost position will always be limited to the preset maximum. So let's assume that my preset was something like this, for example. As you can see, the values are scaled so that when the crossfader is in its leftmost position, the preset maximums are reached, even as in this case if they are at different levels. So the first stage of the mix process is to sample from the currently playing track. So here are the tracks. Track 5, which is layer A from the Prophet, which is the pad, and track 6, which is layer B from the Prophet, which is the arpeggio. And we are going to sample from song 1 with the intention of mixing into song 2. Record lengths of 4 bars and 2 bars are set respectively for the pad and arpeggio layers, and the user manually instigates the sampling of each part at the moment of their choosing, typically in the final bars of the current playing song. The idea being that we do this in the busiest part of the song when all instruments are playing to minimise the likelihood of it being noticed by an audience, and I am currently in pattern 4 of song 1. To instigate sampling, the user simply presses the record button with the sample track selected before the chosen downbeat, and because the Octatrack's record triggers are set to quantize, sampling begins precisely at the start of the next bar. So let's sample track 5, the pad, and I'll switch to the audio editor so that we can see the audio being sampled. This isn't necessary to perform the sampling, I'm just doing it here for demonstration purposes. So as the pattern gets to the end, I'll press the record button and we can see the 4-bar pad is being recorded into track 5. And when that's done, I'll switch over to track 6 and record 2 bars of the arpeggio. Once the sampling is complete on both tracks, as you can see they are set to play automatically. The user engages mix mode either from the synth control page or the universe page and chooses the best moment to crossfade to the sampled tracks. And I can choose mix mode here if I happen to be in the universe page, or I can also do it over here in the synth control page. And it's just a matter of choosing the right moment to do the crossfade, and it's not really a crossfade, it's a very fast swapping out of one sound from the other, and I usually try and do it at the end of the 4-bar pad. With the crossfade complete, we can switch to another pattern with no bass and begin to manually remove the drum parts.
I think it's a privilege.
When only the sample tracks remain audible in the mix, the new song can be selected. And because tracks 5 and 6 are assigned to play back the same sample buffers in every song, we should be able to switch to a new song and have the sample playing precisely as it is here in song 1. But we will notice that the synthesizers and the drum machine will receive a program change message from the Octatrack and will load a new program. And you can see we're now playing back part 1 of song 2. So at the beginning of the new song, I am going to use sync recall to introduce the hi-hats. So I'll set a 16-bar measure setting and manually trigger the sync recall to introduce the hi-hats. Then I can use the crossfader on the Octatrack to begin gradually introducing the new pad and arpeggio parts currently playing from the Prophet. When the crossfader is at the leftmost position in mix mode, both the sampled tracks from song 1 and the new Prophet pad and arpeggio from song 2 are at full volume. And so I can now begin to gradually decrease the level of the sample tracks, and I do this incrementally, just like a DJ tweaking EQs or controls in a mix when mixing two records together. You can see here I'm just taking a little bit of volume off the pad and then off the arpeggio to fade out the remains of song 1. When the level of the two sample tracks is low enough that they are no longer audible, I can mute them and then return their volumes to the full level ready for use in the next mix. And the final step is to introduce the drums, and the mix between song 1 and song 2 is complete.